Hi guys, welcome to Conversation Corner. This channel is about discussing interesting ideas and analyzing them. There was an idea that came across my mind. As I must tell you, I'm very interested in this Indic philosophy called Advaita Vedanta, which is basically the philosophy that helps you see all the varieties and dualities in the world as one, right? See, we have two eyes, but when we look at an object, we don't see two objects despite having two eyes, right? Now, if we saw two objects where there was just one object, there would definitely be something wrong with our eyesight. Now, the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta is that the whole of entirety and existence is one, but the way we perceive it in our daily lives is varied, right? So, touching on that philosophy, I wanted to tell you about how the idea of anxiety is same for everyone, no matter what situation people face. Let that sink in. You're going to say that this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous because every human being who is experiencing anxiety is facing a different situation. Some people have money problems, some people have health problems, some people are facing relationship problems, some people are facing challenges at their workplace. Now, everyone who is experiencing a certain level of anxiety is going through a different situation. But everyone who is facing a certain level of anxiety is basically undergoing the same biochemical reaction in their body. Of course, this happens to different levels. Everyone has a different level of stress tolerance, but no matter what the external circumstance you're facing right now in the world, the reason this is not different from anyone else's problem is the reaction of your mind and body. So basically, what happens during anxiety is you expect a certain outcome to take place which is not favorable, and that outcome that is going to take place in the future is causing you harm in the present, and it is affecting your body biochemically at the level of your mind and at the level of your body. This uncertain event, or an event that you say is going to happen with a lot of certainty and is going to take place, is affecting you in the present. Now, I'm not going to say that this fear simply does not exist. That would be absolutely ridiculous. A lot of times, the thing that you're anxious about or worried about definitely is something concerning. If it didn't concern you, if it didn't bother you at all, the fear or anxiety simply would not exist. Now, let's dive deep into what exactly you fear and why is it that you fear it and why this anxiety exists. Keep in mind, we are analyzing anxiety in and of itself. I'm not a shrink, I'm not a therapist, and I don't have immediate solutions. But I feel that the best way to approach a solution to any problem is to understand the problem in the first place. If you do not understand the problem in the first place, and if you don't understand what the problem is, the diagnosis is always going to be wrong, right? So let's diagnose the issue with anxiety and what exactly is happening to us biochemically during anxiety. Now, I don't know exactly the chemicals that are involved, but I understand that a flight or flight response has the I forgot the name of the chemical, but I believe it's secreted by the kidneys, if I'm not mistaken. So when you have a fight or flight response, there's a certain anxiety hormone that is triggered in you, which basically is given to you at the time of fight or flight, or in sometimes it's just freeze to help you deal with the situation. Now, the brain that we have has evolved over hundreds of thousands of years, right? So, when we face a situation which is immediate, let's say there is traffic coming and we are standing in the middle of the road and our eyes come across this traffic. So, obviously, the natural response is going to be to move ourselves away from harm and avoid the traffic that comes. Now, this is a very gross example of something that is so immediate in front of our eyes. However, daily life does not present situations that are akin to a truck or a car coming your way. Daily life anxiety or problems come for something that has not occurred as yet but has a very high chance of taking place in the future. So the anxiety and concern that you have with respect to what is going to happen is definitely justified. Now, as I said, everyone's anxiety is the same because the biochemical reaction of the body and the psychological reaction of the mind is the same. The reason you are stressed out by what is going to happen comes from the fact that you believe that you have no control over what's going to happen. So let's say you were dealt with a problem and you know how to resolve it perfectly, the problem wouldn't be much of a problem for you, right? Let's say you were given an equation to solve. You've done this time and time again, which is why solving this is not going to be a problem for you. Okay, why do you have anxiety now? You have anxiety because the situation that you're facing is riddled with uncertainty, right? You are not fully confident of being able to solve the task at hand that is given to you. So, you've already started feeling a certain way, right? Your mind says, oh my god, what has happened? How am I going to handle this? Now, when you're caught in this loop of, oh my god, this is going to be really tough to solve, oh my god, this is going to be tough to solve, a large part of your mental energy is being drained in this process of, oh my god, this is going to be hard to solve. And then you go one of the two ways. You continue with this thought pattern and you act in a destructive manner so that when the event comes, you're actually devastated and that crumbles you. The other way you go is you try and find solace, right? You're like, oh god, I'm so stressed. How do I reduce the stress? Now, solace is a way to have a temporary relief, right? So let's say you're stinking right now. A very short term relief would be to spray deodorant over your body. And I say very short term. The long term solution is, of course, to take a bath and get rid of the dirt that has accumulated, right? So when you are really stressed and when you're looking for solace, you'll go one of two ways. You'll look for someone to speak with, or you'll have some addictive pattern or behavior that you'll repeat to calm yourself. So for a lot of people, this becomes alcohol. For a lot of people, this becomes overeating. For a lot of people, they'll just want to sleep. For some people, they'll indulge in some compulsive activity or habit to find solace for the stress that they face. They're going to go one of these two routes, right? They'll either try and talk with someone and have this resolved, or they'll indulge in their repetitive habits. Very few people will take the time out to journal, to meditate, and to understand what is really happening. So for me, shooting these videos is a good way of taking my thoughts apart and putting them on video. I'm really not a fan of writing at this moment. I want to be very articulate with what is happening in my mind and put that on video, which is why I feel this is one of the best way to articulate your thoughts and make yourself clear and have everything out in the open. So whenever you're going through anything stressful in your mind, if you believe you do not have the capability to deal with it, at least remove it from your mind and put it on video. When you remove your problems from mind and when you put them on the video, you've taken a huge burden out and now you can look at your problems objectively. When the problems remain in your mind tends to identify itself with the problem. So instead of saying I have a problem, your mind will subconsciously say I am a problem and I am distressed. So there's a difference between saying you're stressed and there's a difference between saying you're facing a stressful situation. Now you'll say, hey, that's semantics, that's splitting hairs, but language has a lot of power in creating our reality. So when you say I am stressed versus when you say I have a stressful situation, you are mentioning two different realities. Saying that you have a stressful situation is acceptance of the fact that you are not the stress. It's a situation that is a bit of an inconvenience at this point in time, and you sooner or later will find a solution to the same. Now, saying that you are stressed in and of itself is saying that you are part of the problem, and if you are part of the problem, it's going to be very hard to find a solution. Let's say you take a book and you have the book right up to your eyes. You're holding it so close. The reason you can't read anything is all the letters are so close to you that you simply can't make sense of them. So, similarly, when you are faced with any difficult situation, before you find a solution to your problem, the very first step is to distance yourself from your problem. It is to say that, okay, I am not the problem I'm facing. Yes, there is a certain difficult situation that needs to be handled, but I am not this difficult situation, okay? The situation is different, I am different. I will remain who I am, whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, whether I'm stressed, whether I'm relaxed. So once you have distanced yourself from the situation that you're going to face, you can say, okay, this is the problem that I'm facing. What are the possible solutions I can come up with? So this is when you're going to start listing the solutions, and then whether or not you have the perfect information, you'll start working on them. Now, when you take your hypothesis and you put that out into reality, when you actually start confronting your problems, you'll realize that either they were far worse than you thought. So if you thought the situation was X times worse, the situation is 10x times worse. You're going to find you have the capability to match them, which is what you thought is what is there. Or number three, what you thought has absolutely nothing to do with the situation as it is. It's something you can easily deal with. So one of the three things are going to happen. It's going to be far worse. It's going to be just about the same, and it's going to be absolutely nothing. If it is far worse, then you will have to spend more mental energy in finding out a solution. Possibly you'll get in touch with people and you'll try and find a solution to your problem. Now, the reason most of you are going to be hesitant to even put this problem out in terms of journaling or in terms of recording a video like this and playing it back to yourself is you have been caught by a program. So the way we think and the way we feel decides who we become, right? There's a very good saying, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. And they say the best way to beat an addiction is to never start. So let's say you started an addiction, let's say it's a substance addiction, let's say cigarettes or alcohol. Even though you want to leave this habit, it becomes very hard to break it despite knowing that it's harmful for you, because now the program has got hold of you, right? Your body and mind have biochemically trained you to reach out for that cigarette or the bottle even though you know it's absolutely not good. So willpower here is definitely going to fail. So what you need to do is you need to contact someone who has the expertise in helping you break these habits, get the solution from this person and try and implement this. Don't trust yourself here because you have conditioned yourself in such a way that you are not trustworthy. You'll have to give your trust to someone who can help you sort this out, and the biggest obstacle you'll face at this point in time is sharing the details as they are and being very honest. See, when you've got yourself in a very sticky situation, it's very hard to accept that you have been the author of these problems and you have caused these problems. So when you're looking for a solution, a lot of times you're going to hide a lot of details and you're not going to be very forthcoming with the person whose help you're requesting. This is a detriment to you because if the person whose help you're requesting doesn't have the full information on what has happened, they cannot give you a clear cut solution to your issues. So the biggest problem of course is finding someone very trustworthy with whom you can sort this out. Number two is finding the courage to tell all the mistakes that you've made that have landed you in that kind of situation, or the real cause of your anxiety, right? So when you're going to face a situation for which you believe you're not equipped to deal with, the best way to deal with that is to contact someone who you believe can deal with that situation or has gone through that, in your opinion, or is someone you admire who has overcome a lot of obstacles in their life. So when you deal with someone who is willing to listen to you unconditionally, make sure it's someone who listens without passing too much judgment, and make sure it's someone who has the competence to resolve your problem. Simply having someone to listen to your issues is not going to help because the issues won't go away, right? You need a solution to the problem you're facing, and you need someone who listen to you and give a solution. So this is one way to take yourself out of your head. Anxiety and stress come from the belief that you are not capable of handling what is assigned to you. Sometimes that assessment is true. You simply don't have the skill sets to deal with the issues that have been dealt to you. which is why you will need to approach someone else and get their feedback on how to go about things. It is not an easy task because, number one, it's hard to come across people who listen to you unconditionally with full attention without judging. Number two, it takes a lot of courage to admit the mistakes you have made so far and be fully transparent with all the things you've done wrong that have landed you in the situation that you are in. Your fear is not unfounded because there have been times where you have trusted someone and it hasn't worked out in your best interest, which is why you feel the need for hyper independence and dealing with all your problems on your own. So, if you continue with that thought pattern, dealing with your issues is going to be far harder because you're dealing with all the information and data set that you have. Someone else always is going to have more access to their life experiences, which can be far wider than your life experiences, and being honest and forthcoming with them is going to help you a lot. This is not easy by any means, okay? This is not easy by any means because it takes luck to find someone who will unconditionally listen to you without judgment and who has the competence to resolve the problem you're facing. So, no matter what issue you are facing, let's say the health of a loved one, or challenges at work which you feel you can't deal with, or the anxiety of switching countries, every problem that you're dealing with has likely been dealt with by someone, or someone is going through them at this point in time. So, even though you are a unique individual, as a human species, we grow up in certain societies which make us eligible for certain experiences, which cause us to go through certain experiences, and those experiences are common and across the society, right? So even though you feel that the burden you face at this point in time is the heaviest, it's not so because someone else is going through a similar situation, right? No matter what the situation is, the base or the common point in all the situations which is leading to stress and anxiety is the belief that you won't be able to get through this and that you don't have the answers to implement and execute on that. One good way to at least deal with the problem is understanding what the problem is. You can put it down on pen and paper, or you can record this in the form of a video. When you note down the problems and what they are, you'll be able to tackle them accordingly in the list of priorities. Sometimes a lot of problems come together at one time, and it's very easy to lose our cool. But I believe the best way to diagnose a problem is to first understand what it is. So if there is something stressing you out, get that out of your head and put it on paper. That's the first thing you need to do. Once you have your problem honestly described to you, then you can think about solving the same. Now, as I said, I don't purport to have all the solutions, but at least the most honest thing to do is to understand what your issues are and put them on paper, and from there you can go about solving them and understanding how these can be tackled. This was a very heavy subject, and I understand there are no clear cut solutions given to the anxiety that you're facing. But the first step you can do is to take a pen and paper and note down what exactly the problems are, and then you can look for solutions. Understand that no matter what you're going through, someone has gone through something similar or worse. So we're all experiencing the same anxiety and stress no matter what the situation is. The biochemical response and the level of response at the mind in terms of psychology is the same. It's a fear of uncertainty that you will have to deal with, right? So the first step to dealing with this issue is having this put down on pen and paper, and then we'll see where we can take this. Thank you so much for these 19 minutes of yours. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section. I'll happily view them and respond to them if I have the time.